Yeah, there you go, friends. I'll tell you the truth. It truly doesn't pay to worry a whole lot. I worry a little now and then, take 10, 15 minutes to worry about something. And then, honestly, with it, with whatever it is. Because, it's been my experience that almost all the things I worry about prior to them happening usually aren't that worrisome when you get to it. I mean, like, okay, as a kid, getting maybe a polio shot in the arm. Oh my God! My arm's going to fall off. My fingers are going to swell. Whatever. You get the polio shot, you didn't even know it was such a tiny needle, you didn't even know they got you, and they're already done handing you a lollipop. I mean, really. It would have been better to dwell on, boy, after the shot, they're giving me a lollipop. Yeah. And I can eat it in class. Remember, they used to give the polio shots out in school, remember? Yeah. Line you all up. Okay, roll your sleeve up. And the thing is a lot of the stuff you sweat, like case in point today. I'd say for the past 4 or 5 days, I've been worried that I would have to go to work. I would have to go to work before the sun came up. Now I don't normally have to do that. Generally, being a part-timer, usually the sun's up at least a little by the time I'm in the car heading to work. But today, it was especially important that I get there, somewhere around 6:30, and it's dark out. And that meant I have to get up around the way I drive about 5 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to be in the car heading out, and I was planning my route. I didn't want to drive through. I have some areas where I'm going through the relatively deep woods. I was worried about, gosh, what if critters come running out in front of me? What if the headlights, the high beams on some approaching car on that narrow path get to me, get me blinded a bit, and maybe I don't hit the car that's oncoming, but maybe I cream a tree or something. This stuff, I'm sure this happens to all of us, right? Well, it does to me, if nothing else. And I'm sweating it, and then, you know what I did? I said, okay, I'm worried about the narrow pathway through the woods. There's 2 of them. So I can go around them. What I can do, I'll just pick a different route, go where the roads are a little more lit, where they're a little straighter, and a little bit more, not necessarily less traveled, but I'll be going the opposite direction of regular traffic. While everyone's heading east, I have the benefit of heading west with very few people on my tail. So that's what I did. I thought my way around it, and it was no big deal anyway. Turns out the sun was just coming up as I was hitting the road. And yeah, I had a few spots where it was maybe a little too much headlight oncoming, or maybe a little too much headlight from behind, that kind of thing. But for the most part, it wasn't too bad. In fact, the headlights behind that might have been a little too bright shining in my mirror, I saw a spot where I could pull over onto the shoulder. The people went around me, no big whoop. And like I said, it was continuously getting a little bit brighter, and really the traffic wasn't that bad. For all the worrying, it really, in a way, it was kind of pretty, seeing, driving past a house and seeing, oh gee, they're just getting up, look at that, I'm already on the road. Better to have the positive attitude, better to be, one thing I did, I put the visors down a bit on the windshield, over the windshield. That gave me that much less light shining into the car. That kind of thing. And I didn't. I told myself, well, I'm not going to go for the world's land speed record, even if I were to hit someone. Uh, I'm not going to be. It's not going to be one of those horrendous, everybody's dead kind of wreck. I just rolled right along, and I just got to thinking, geez, all that worrying for the past 2 or 3 days, and really, it's not that bad out here today. If it was raining, maybe snow, sleet, might be another story, but it was shaping up to be what was going to be the start of a very pretty day, and it was. And in fact, when I got to work, they were having a bit of a meeting of the muckety mucks from the company. Different store, I guess, managers showed up, important people within the people with high position, having a meeting. Well, there was that wasn't so bad. They were all very nice, and they were up in a room by themselves, discussing whatever they had to discuss. It's no big whoop. It wasn't like they're picking people at you're all fired, get out of here. No, it was just that we had a pretty good meeting room at our store, and it was put to use. That's a good thing. Again, all this stuff that we sometimes, and frankly, none of this really dwelled on me that horribly awful, but there's been times where stuff has. I remember being worried sick about going to Navy boot camp. It turned out it was kind of fun. Yeah, you had to do push-ups and stuff, and people screamed at you. But after a while, well, you got to realize, and yeah, they had to scream at you. But after a while, they quit screaming at you. They just knew you were gonna do what they said you were gonna do, and well, you're a sailor now, and so you don't necessarily get screamed at as much as you used to. Plus, the food was good. I kept thinking the food was going to stink at boot camp. It was great. It was really good stuff. and as long as you ate everything on your tray, you could go back for seconds and thirds if you wanted. Just make sure you ate everything. Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? Things sometimes that we worry about just ain't going to necessarily be that bad, if even remotely so. Most cases, it's just you don't know what's coming. But in most cases, big deal. See what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to, for now that I'm older than dirt, I'm going to quit worrying about so many doggone things. Because there's no sense doing it. It's just no sense. Oh, sure, a guy's coming at you with a Bowie knife, and he's kind of sore about something you did. I suppose that might be time to take flight. But how many times does that happen? Practically never. And with any luck, the guy chasing you with a Bowie knife might, in the dark or whatever, might trip over a stick or something, won't catch up to you anyway. He'll wind up being hurt, and you go back to help him. And no one can seem to find his darn knife. It's lost in the bushes somewhere. See what I'm saying? Next thing you know, he's a friend, apologizing and saying he's sorry for being such a goofball. Anyway, I just thought I'd say, I'll see you later. God bless. Bye now.